This video is a continuation on the brushes. I'm going to look at scattering next. Scattering will allow you to, if I put it on, do what it says on the tin, scatter your brush. And you can control the number of brushes as well. So you can have multiple brushes, and so you can scatter many brushes at the same time. But of course they're multiple similar brushes. Okay, so it's the same type of brushes. You, as usual, have control as well. You have control over a Wacom tablet here. And interestingly, you'll start to see this word fade coming up. So fade, you can see, allows me to start scattering, and then the scattering fades out. So wherever you see the word fade, you can use that to diminish the effect. One effect will blend into the normal brush. Now always alongside fade, you've got a number, and it's a number of steps. So at the moment, I'm going to get 25 goes, and then it's going to diminish. If I increase that to 50, then I'm going to have much more time with the scatter, and then it's going to diminish into the brush. If I reduce it, very quick. So let's move on to texture. So texture, when you open it up, it's going to look something like this. And what will happen is that the texture is throughout the brush, but because the brush is just full scale at the moment, you're basically looking at the texture through the brush, and it really doesn't show you very much. If I zoomed in, you probably see the texture right at the edge. You choose the texture up here, and of course you've got a number of libraries, so you can have a look in these libraries to see if there's some good possibilities for you. You can make your own textures, of course, in Photoshop. Now what you need to start to do is to increase the scale of the texture, but again you might notice it's just happening, it's occurring on the edge. So if I increase the scale really big, it's still only on the edge at the moment. And no matter what I do, if I change the brightness, you see a little bit more. There you go. Change the contrast, same thing. Okay, so in order to bring the texture right through the brush, I need to address this area here, and it's the blend mode. So it's the blend mode between the pattern and the brush. And at the moment, it's just considering the height of the brush. So it's just, we just see it at the edge. And you can experiment with the blend modes. If I simply use multiply, then I'm going to get something much more interesting from that brush. And then if I increase brightness, we get that kind of thing, and so on. So you can explore the different variables in your brush. So just a couple of other little things. You've got an invert tab up here. So this is what my brush looks like. Let's make the scale a bit bigger. And we have a lovely invert. And then you can also play with the depth jitter. So I can bring the brush back in and it will jitter in the background. So that's final possibility on texture. And finally in this section, I'm just going to jump to protect texture. That just means that if you're using texture throughout, let's say you're creating a painting in Photoshop and you're using textures, it will keep the same scale of texture and pattern throughout. So it kind of just pulls everything together. Probably not something I would use, but you might want to try it.